things in life. A soft caress, a gentle sigh. When lovers meet after a long goodbye, so smoke it down to the filter, like when the smoke gets in your eyes, and hum along with me a lullaby. I'll send a songbird on oceans to fly, a song to hush babies cry. Light a candle and wait to hear silence in the night. So smoke it down to the filter. I like when the smoke gets in your eyes. And hum along with me a lullaby. Everyone's like muted. Yay! Thank you.
More silent claps.
Amazing,
Great.
amazing.
Yay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That always calms me down, so I hope that had the effect for everyone else.
So that is such a wonderful introduction to our the world's second ever, as far as I know, Sensemaking salon. So as already evidenced, we have a wonderful community of people here. And the Grey Swan Guild has grand ambitions and many projects underway to try and realize those ambitions. And some of us thought that we were not spending enough time just sort of communing with each other, just enjoying each other's company, which is, for me, one of the greatest perks of being part of this community. So what we thought we'd do is, in these sense-making salons, is just break people up into breakout rooms, divide people up into breakout rooms, maybe 5 people in each room, and just have a conversation for a while. And then at the end, we'll all come back and we will briefly give each room 1 minute to report some of the highlights of their conversation or some of the most interesting ideas, and we'll zip through all of those. And that should pretty much round out the hour. We'll do a quick poll at the end to get some feedback, and we will end at essentially 1 hour from when we started, and then have a half an hour of just hanging out, what we call after hours, for anybody who wants to, but it's not officially on any calendar. So before we split up into breakout rooms, we thought also it might be fun to have some question that people are certainly not obliged to answer, and it's not no obligation to constrain the conversation, but something that might be a useful prompt. And actually, I want to give credit where it is due to Alex, who is here today. He and I had a lovely conversation the other day, and he suggested asking, what has the quarantine represented for you emotionally? What are your fears and dreams? And what has come up, and how are you dealing with it? So no need to answer that, but I'm inviting everyone to do so. And as Andrea divides people up into breakout rooms, I just wanted to share one quick comment. This is a dad thing, so any parents will understand. I was talking to my 18-year-old daughter today. We're in Northern California where we're getting incredible smoke from the fires. So it's like apocalypse squared here. And the sky was orange yesterday and it was dark all day. And my daughter said, you know, everybody says when times are bad, hey, look, at least, you know, the sun will come up tomorrow. She said, now we don't even have that. So that is the anti-cheeriness from the song that we just heard. So I'm sorry, I guess I had to restore things to an even level. But with that, Andrea, if you wouldn't mind breaking us up into breakout rooms, and if each room would just sort of assign someone to give us the 1-minute report back, nothing terribly formal, that would be great. And I'll pop into the chat that question.
It's going to take one more second.
Sure, that's fine. Anybody confused? Does everything make sense that what we're talking about doing here? Cool.
Dave, I worked through the big firestorms and fires in Florida back in 1996 when I was 12. And I remember that after the fires, the sunrises, because I was facing east, were the best sunrises I ever saw. It just took some time to get to.
Good. Well, that's the best metaphor I've heard in a while. So thank you for that. Cool. And I
think there's an open question as to the length of each session, Dave.
Oh, good point. Yeah, so if we come back, let's say 10 minutes before the end of the hour, that would be great. So that'd give us around 40 minutes and it's just about hanging out and talking, and I'm sure the 40 minutes will go by pretty quickly. I've never had a breakout conversation in the Grey Swan Guild where people have not been interrupted in mid-sentence when we come back.
So there's I used the random number chart, so everybody's in a room, and there might be a couple of stragglers that I have to insert into rooms. So if you start like flying somewhere different, just kind of bear with it. Okay.
Great. Thank you, Andrea, for doing the magic.
And what time do you, I missed what you said. How many minutes?
Let's come back 10 minutes before the end of the hour.
Okay, great, here we go.
Great, thanks.
Disappearing.
Yeah, I'm putting people into different rooms, so hang on one second, I'm just seeing where everybody's
man, we had musical talent in our room, and then
we lose
hold on. I'm
we
just
we don't deserve musical talent, apparently. That was quite the voice. I did not expect that voice out of that person, Daniel.
Oh yeah, generational talent, my friend.
And I don't think it's from smoking cigarettes either. This is a different type of.
I can't believe that with what I'm going through here, that somebody's singing about smoke and expecting me to relax. But anyway.
Oh, are you a
former smoker?
No, it's just outside. I can't see anything out my window. So sorry, hold on. It's literally the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. So, okay, hold on. Where did that go? Sorry, I'm assigning you guys. I tried to do this differently, so we'll see where you end up. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, Sean, hold on. You're going in last. I'm going to be putting you...
The crews are working on it.
Oh, we have Sean joining us.
Oh, sorry, guys. Like,
no, I'm actually happy to see you here.
All right, I got filmed.
We just started chatting because we don't know each other.
Oh, good. Well, it always happens at the first few minutes. So
yeah. So Susan is from the West Coast, and she's right now in Vancouver, in BC, right?
Right.
Yeah,
and I was just saying the power was out about a half hour ago. We had winds the other day, and I'm in a new subdivision. So if I disappear, it's the grid that's letting me down. I want to be here. Anyway, that's my introduction for today. Hi, everyone.
I like the statement shades.
Oh, thanks.
The window to the soul.
Well, you've only got, that much space to make an impression.
Women have it easy. Like, Phil, we got hoodies and like t-shirts. Yeah. That's all we got to show our colors.
Oh, you got more than that going for you, Sean. Come on. Guys got lots. You've got deep voices.
Oh, man. Well, this is What do you guys
Do you
think
know
of
each other before, or like how did you know about Grey Swan Guild?
Me?
Yeah, Susan, Phil, and Angelica. I think I met Angelica somewhere, like at the guild event.
Yes, I've been in other events.
Yeah, I saw it. I just Sean was doing those webcasts, future-proofing stuff, and I was like, yeah, these guys seem to have their act together. And then it just started to grow, and you know, I got an opportunity to write some things, and I was spending some time, and then I got sucked into some other things. But trying to get back and just kind of stay engaged with the community. I actually have some things that are coming up that I think might be interesting for people that they might want to collaborate on, for driving some new opportunities as part of the recovery. And I think that's what all this is about. So I really wanted to stay engaged because I enjoyed the group and the thinking and the diversity of thought from around the world. It was really good stuff.
Cool.
That's cool. I saw your note on WhatsApp.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember Phil.
And Jennifer, what's your byline for today?
My what for
The
today?
byline. What do you want us to think of about you? What impression do you want to leave with us today about yourself?
I came actually totally unprepared. You know, I just want to listen, and you know, yeah, what the fear and how are we like emotionally right now? And because I've been at home like for almost over half a year, and uncertainty is fear. And what do people worry about most? I'm just wondering if you know we worry about the same things.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. So what's top of mind kind of thing, and you know, positive or negative. I feel like I haven't been.
Jennifer, where are you? Did you say where you are?
Oh, Toronto, Canada.
Toronto.
Yeah.
Although could be in China, but wouldn't be because pandemic, right? So
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Could happen.
Yeah, I think you told me last week that the average flight to Shanghai is what, $20,000 or something.
Yeah, it's expensive right now.
Yeah.
And I've got an ask in Shanghai, you know, at the end of this year. I don't think it will happen because they said, you know, if you want this, you need to be here physically. I don't think that will happen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
And then Angelica is calling in from Mexico.
Mexico.
Oh, nice.
Yes, I'm from Mexico.
Yeah, I remember you're from Mexico. We were in the same breakout group last year.
Yes, it is. We were several weeks ago.
I have one question. So I was talking to Andrea, who's in Silicon Valley, and she showed me her computer, and it looked out the window, and it looked like something out of a sci-fi movie. It was like 10 o'clock in the morning, and it looked like it was maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. Maybe it looked like I was looking at dusk. Maybe has any of that hit Mexico where you are, Angelica?
No, here is
It's blowing north to Vancouver.
Oh, okay.
It is, and it even smelled like a bushfire for a while.
Sometimes
it's so bad right now. I'm in San Francisco.
You are there, right?
I'm in
you are in
San Francisco.
California.
It's horrible. It's so bad. If I could share a picture, I will. Like,
yeah, my friends there also sent me some pictures.
Yeah.
It looks like a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, it does. It looks like a dust storm in Mars in fire, or like that scene out of the Star Wars movie where Darth Vader gets his legs cut off. I mean, literally, it was dark and red all day. My lights. I look out on the bay. Normally, I could see Tiburon. I can't even see the water right now. And yesterday, it was so red that it was so red. It was unbelievable. was unbelievable. Dark.
If you were Donald Trump, you'd be blaming the Democrats for all of that.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
And you wouldn't have any answers or solutions or strategies
Right.
or.
And you don't take any responsibility for anything.
Of course not.
Because God knows, you know.
He doesn't believe in climate change.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Phil
So,
doesn't
yeah,
believe in climate change?
Trump.
Let's put words
It's
in
totally
Phil's
made
mouth.
It's, yeah. Don't call me. Don't call me.
Oh,
That's
okay.
right.
So the Trump Hotel in Vancouver is officially bankrupt and gone. Boom.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw
So
that.
freaking.
That's the view from my living room
Oh my
yesterday.
God.
Oh my
At
Wow.
like
God.
3 in the afternoon.
So where are you right now, Phil?
I'm in San Francisco. I'm in
San
North
Francisco.
Beach. So like normally you could see over here by that little tree over to the left.
Oh.
That's Alcatraz. I can barely see the water right now.
You know what's interesting, Phil? I had no idea. I was like head down writing my book and like not looking up for the news cycle. And Andrea showed me, and then I read all these articles, and I think the 49ers are practicing this time of year, right? And
Yeah.
they have to hit a certain count of kind of particles per million or whatever. And it, even with that orange, they're still able to play. Like it hasn't, I don't know if it's
insane.
all up in the air and not in the ground, but it's wild.
Oh, well, not today. It's everywhere. You get soot on cars, and it's crazy. It's
Wow.
unreal. So it does make it a little more difficult to be normal, and I think this is that it's a little stressful for people. Well, actually, because like it's not normal that you know it's been pretty much a whole week that you can't really go outside. I mean, you
This
know,
is next level. For 6 months, you couldn't be near people. Now, and you were quarantined. I guess that California kind of really locked it down early, and now once again you're locked down for a different reason.
yeah, no, you really can't. I mean, leaving the house is very unhealthy.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, so to compare it, this is what I'm gonna show you a picture. That's what my normally looks like out my window.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Great view, by the way.
yeah, it's not a bad view. You can see Alcatraz right there, right over there.
I remember this old episode on TV or a TV show called Too Close for Comfort. Do you remember Ted Baxter?
Yeah, they were
He was
over
living in something similar.
Yeah, they were over near the Painted Ladies. Yep.
Yeah. All right. I did do the tour. Brave admission. Well, I mean, so we got to talk about emotion and what we're feeling about pandemic, which I find interesting because it's Labor Day, and albeit some of the kids aren't in school, it does feel like a passing of seasons, a switch into something else. I don't know, at least from my standpoint. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
Yeah, I feel the same way, and it's kind of like a bit of a whack on the head. It's real. It's really real.
Yeah.
And I signed up for a poetry course because I don't want to keep all this crap inside. I need to be creative and express myself. And I thought poetry would help. So it's online and it's through a university. And I feel really good about that choice.
You could be our next performance artist when we kick off one of these things next time.
You know, this is cool. Every time I mention it, there's someone goes, oh, you could do this. So our local artist in residence is going to help me publish my book and put me in touch with an illustrator. And, you know, it's just a very small run, but it's pretty exciting for me.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
So Susan, what do you do as a profession? Something related to poetry or nothing at all?
COVID is making me just sort of stretch myself and not box myself in anymore. So I want to express myself in terms of my values and what's important to me, and then see where that goes. And like my top, so I've been doing a lot of work on this through COVID. It's given me the grace and the wisdom and the time to look deep inside. And the value that is really important to me is that things, I'm really drawn to appearances, things looking interesting and good. Not just being well designed, but looking good. Like to me, something looking good is a function. It makes me feel good. So that applies to everything. Things looking a certain way, it opens up my mind and helps me ask questions and wonder out loud. And it attracts me to certain things. So that's my number one value in the world. And then the second one, probably why I'm drawn to this group, is I like feeling connected to the world. I don't need to be an expert, but I do like to know what's going on, and I want to feel like I'm a part of the world. And I'm a very proud Canadian, so if I can inject that into anything that I'm involved with, I'll take every opportunity to do that. And yeah, and I mean, that can work in business, that can work in arts and culture, and just meeting people in general. And then the third value that I work hard on is just financial responsibility. I want to be able to take care of myself in the world. Nothing makes sense unless there's financial accountability and responsibility behind it. So, you know, I've done a lot of different things. I was on the ballot in the last provincial election representing a very well-known political party. I've run my own consulting business for 20 years. I'm a poet now, play the violin. I'm myself, I'm just me.
Think about the Venn diagram of skills there. There's only maybe 2 people in the world with that set of different talents. So
that's it. I mean, yeah, I've lived in lots of different places. I lived in Texas, I've lived in Seattle, I've lived in Vancouver, born in Toronto, you know, but I'm Canadian. That's where it starts.
nice. Yeah, we've got the entire North American continent represented today.
Right?
That's right. It's Mexico and the United States and Canada.
Yeah, you know, this is really it's a really interesting it's a really interesting time. It's you know, I feel like I deal well with this better than many. My military experience definitely. I keep getting pinged by someone. I keep trying to move this meeting, and they're not going to let me. My military experience definitely gives me perspective and patience, and you know, but there are times when it's like, look, I've been living alone. I've had 3 live meetings since March. Right,
wow.
Like in-person meetings with business meetings. You know, I've you know, small group of people you connect with, but most people have been keeping it on a lockdown because things are pretty rough. So I think it you know, it makes people very thoughtful and introspective, and I think well, for me, you know, my emotions. I've been focused on doing what I can and doing what's important, and you know, staying in shape, staying healthy. I've actually been losing weight during the pandemic, and focused on.
So you're the guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm trying to. I set a goal, right? It's like college weight by Columbus Day. So.
All right. So this is a cardinal rule. When you say something to some other person and commit to it, there's a greater chance it's going to be done. So amongst our hive of 5, what is the weight that you need to get down to?
I have 5.5 more pounds, and I have about 5 weeks. So.
All right.
So I need
Susan, Jennifer, Angelica, like we have to be on Phil in 5 weeks if yeah.
It's Columbus Day and you're like, hey, how'd you do? I'll show you the win. I'll take a picture of the scale. If it says 190 or below, I'm good. Right.
You're lucky we're all like not American, so it's like Columbus Day, sure.
Yeah.
You can cheat by a week.
I think it's second week in October. So but yeah, this is it's not normal. You know, I talked to lots of people. And everybody's dealing with different things in different ways. I guess mine is it's not so bad because I'm physically alone, but not disconnected. So hooray technology. So
yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Right.
Anybody else want to jump in the void?
You know, every time I read the news, except but when I talk to friends, like, you know, close to me, and I'm positive, so I'm not sure like if everyone feels the same way. And then I'm like, okay, my circle is not representative enough because I'm also analytical. So I'm like, we don't represent anything. But every time I talk to close friends, I'm positive. It's just the news is really upsetting. You know, it's either politics or disaster or this, and I'm scared. But then, you know, when I look around, because I'm like, okay, I'm so confined in this neighborhood, and am I not seeing the whole world? Yeah, so, and also, you know, I follow YouTube, like public accounts, you know, on some movies, and a lot of them about humanity. And when I see all those things going on in the world, and yeah, it's upsetting. So I don't know how to, I know how to balance the emotions, but what's real, what's not real, that draws me, you know, to Grey Swan Guild, and I'm really happy here. So I'm like, okay, so those are people like who are, you know, we met and we are getting closer, but who are not, who were strangers to me. So I want to feel real, like not what the news tell me, you know, or Donald Trump says this, or you know this, and yeah.
Are you familiar with Scottish common sense? Are you familiar with that? Scottish common sense.
No.
It means being very pragmatic and look at your reality. Look around you. That's what's real. You look like you live in a pretty nice house. You look like you're dressed really well.
Oh.
Well groomed. You're healthy. You're here. You've got a lot of positive things going on for you.
Yeah, so this positivity, is it for real? I'm like...
No, I'm not talking about positivity. I'm talking about reality.
Okay.
It's not about being positive or negative, just what's real.
Yeah.
It's what's around you. Anyway, not a philosopher here, but that's how I understand being pragmatic to be. And it's really the way I like to live when there's a lot of crap going on that I can't do anything.
Well, it's a really good point, right? Because you can't control a lot of the other things, but if you're present with yourself and with where you are, and then you can make the most, that's what you can control, and that's how you can be positive.
You can put a filter on your furnace and not have to breathe the smoke.
Hopefully not have to turn on the air or open the windows. So
yeah.
I really have to apologize. I have to go. I tried to move this meeting. I keep trying to tell them that I was in something and I have to take a client call. Hopefully I can come back.
Crazy Phil.
We'll let you.
Okay, I will see what happens, but I'll jump back in. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you guys hopefully very soon.
I just
yeah, thank you, Susan. That's helpful. That is helpful.
It's the way I was brought up.
Yeah, because I'm in my own house. I don't know. I only have my husband. So then I talk to my parents, you know, they're in their 80s and in Shanghai and they are fine. I'm like, why is everything fine when I read?
It is amazing if this happened 30 years ago, right, Jennifer? Like the germ that created this could have been around 30 years ago. How we get through this 30 years ago is quite different, I think, right?
With no internet, you know.
Yeah, like maybe 35. Maybe we could deal with a little bit of internet in 1990, but certainly 85. You're looking at, okay, do we want to ring up a big long distance bill? Like, how do we? Like, I think we'd probably collectively, we'd probably take more risks, right? Like we would go out and meet people just because what's the alternative? So to Phil's point, bravo technology, perhaps. I just posted in the chat. I'm not too sure if you can see it, but I ran across a new word that describes kind of how I feel. It's called acedia. I'd never heard of the word before, but I guess monks used the word quite frequently in the Middle Ages. And it's all about just sloth and the feeling of kind of like Groundhog Day, the same thing's going to go up. So I kind of got energized by what Phil was saying about just he's set a goal for himself and he's going for it. I think, you know, I have to break up the routine. I think doing the same thing, even if it's productive every day, is not a healthy thing. So I'm feeling that right now, where it's just like, man, I feel like I've done this 3 months in a row, pretty much the same
You know, we operate in seasons for a reason. For a reason. I mean, it's time for a new season, a new reason, a new set of habits. So I think I'm really I feel refreshed knowing I'm not the only one.
Well, you can when you're feeling that way, you can use the word acedia to describe it now. There's an actual word for it. So
Yeah.
Thank you, Sean, for this. And Susan, I also took a theatrical methods online course like in May. So you did poetry, I did theater. So it was online, like, you know, it was fun. So for about 6 weeks, twice every week. But it's for work. But I got theatrical, like, yeah, but theater kind of, you know, training, playback theater, like investigative rehearsal, all those things.
Fantastic.
Yeah, because they were trying to. Yeah, because they were trying to humanize the virtual world, to do a customer experience and to do a user experience, and to do service design. So how do we do that? And very interesting.
very cool. I did not know this about you.
So your employer paid for that. How does it tie into your work? Are you in like customer?
No, I'm not employed. I run my own thing.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm into design thinking, and they were training facilitators of some of the new methods.
Okay,
yeah.
Great.
Yeah, basically, you know, how to do customer research, and by, you know, be that person that you're designing for.
Oh, role playing.
Yeah, they you know, the instructors would not allow us to use that term, and I still cannot articulate why. They hated it in the theater world. They were like, we will refuse to put that role play in our contract. I still cannot articulate.
I don't like role playing either in my work. It's either you're doing it or you're not doing it.
Yeah, so they have.
Feel so
Yeah, I couldn't articulate that. Because to me it's a role play, but to them it's playback theater and investigative rehearsal. I'm like, whoa, they're like very particular about terminologies. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I just got I guess it is coming your way, because I just got a message from one of our guild members from Portland, Oregon, who said, I was going to join tonight, but there's a slight forest fire crisis that prevents me from joining you. So it's, be careful out there, Susan.
Okay, yeah. So that means the air tomorrow will be bad.
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
And Angelica, just, and I always pronounce your name wrong. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong. Just Angelica, it's not. I know that for a fact.
Angelica.
Yeah, something in my bad Canadian voice always wants to mispronounce it. So
yeah, it's Angelica.
I know it's that third letter that gets me all the time. But
it's okay.
How are you feeling through this? And just generally in Mexico, are people kind of getting through it okay, or?
Well, the people here is not as they don't take really care about all these things. So we have several cases because if I need to go out, I can see many people without their mask.
Yeah.
Don't use it. They don't think it's something real, and it's unbelievable because we hear so many news about what is happening, what is if you don't do anything, it doesn't going to stop. So I don't feel like they taking it very serious. So if you see the news, the number of cases is not decreased. It's not. We are still in yellow light. It's not green.
Yeah.
And so we are still in our homes, and many people are in their homes, but uh, they don't look like worry about what is happening. But on the other side, many, for example, in Manorte, where I work, all of us were working in our house, so it's very kind of the people that we work here. And but the thing is, I have, for example, many friends that are working at home, but they are lonely. They don't have any person to talk for several days.
Wow. Yeah.
And they seems like crazy because they come to being anxious or depressed. Um, these days I was talking with a friend, and they told me that he feels so bad about being lonely, and there's many people like that. So for in one hand you have several people that don't take care. On the other hand, they are other people that are care, but they are lonely. They don't have, they are not going to be in touch to someone.
Yeah.
And some other guy adopt a puppy because he feels really lonely. But the thing is, perhaps is you can have some puppy today, but if you don't realize that a puppy is a responsibility for several years, and you do that only for now, for your situation, and you don't realize what is going to happen many years from now. uh, I think some of them are taking decision for their situation, their actual situation.
Yeah. No, having just bought a dog, and this was not related to the pandemic. We decided to. I decided to get a dog like 2 weeks before things shut down, and I can tell you, it's a huge commitment.
Yes,
There are
yes,
certain days I think that dog should be going back, but we're gonna eradicate bad behavior here.
I
yes.
saw your dog. Very cute.
Cute dog. Hey,
Yeah.
you know, I go to obedience class and I go, he may be misbehaving or she may be misbehaving, but at least it's a cute dog, right? At least I can fall back on that. So, but to your point, Angelica, it just, I think we're going to create some mental health issues if this goes on a lot longer, right? Like just people feeling lonely, that like we're social animals, like they, if you have a purpose to go to work or school or what have you, there's at least some ability to collide with people. But it sounds like with your friends or your group of people, maybe that's not happening.
Yes, and with my daughter is the same. She's in her room all day with the school, and I I can see her all day because um, in the morning she is on online class, but in the afternoon he has several homework to do, and even on weekends. So it's crazy because she don't have any time for do something else, and she's going mad, and she's not in a good uh, she's not, you know, so happy about all this.
Hmm.
But is something that is happening with our young people.
Yeah. And old people maybe too, I guess. Yeah.
Got
Yes,
single
and
friends.
there are some mothers that they don't have access for internet, and they don't have school at all, and it's a very huge problem because they are in their homes, and the moms has their works, and they work for the kids, and they don't like to do anything, and it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Good. I mean, I benefit from just understanding how everybody's coming at this, because everybody has their own little existence, right? But to Jennifer's point, it's good to get together with a group of people that you don't normally see in a square day and just exchange experiences. So thank you. I saw Andrea's thing flash up. We got like probably 5 minutes left.
Okay.
What do you think we should do, guys?
The real estate market is doing really well out here.
In Toronto as well.
I have no idea what's going on here, guys. Like my next post, like so I'm going to write a Medium post for the guild. It's about paradoxes and how I see so many of them, right? Like, you know, massive levels of unemployment, yet you can't buy a trampoline, a pool, or a bike in Toronto. Like, you just can't find one. Like,
people are staying home. They're nesting.
Yeah, true. It's just, I worry
interest
that
rates are low. Buy a new house. Move to the country.
There's a theory like the dog thing we just talked about. It's like, oh, that was a good idea until interest rates went up, or my payment from my government ran out, or whatever. And I just feel like,
I read it somewhere today. Is it the Global Mail or somewhere, like, you know, those luxury homes in Toronto, they're sold very well. Like,
yeah.
That agent, you know, she's in the business, she's been in the business for 20 years, and she said, oh, he said, like, this is his best summer so far.
It
like,
does make you think
out of
that
a 20-year career.
It makes you think like how much we must spend on travel and experiences. Because and people are saving money too. So people are stashing it away now too. So if I take it down the road of, okay, we're spending more time at home. Some people might not be making as much money as they used to. The overall economy's down. But
the stock market is, you know, all those cash goes to the stock market.
Yeah. And I mean, stock market's doing okay, right? Like, it's like almost level, I guess, with the start of the year. But the only thing I can make sense of, it's like, to Susan's point, we're all like home nesting, and all those expenses that you would have paid for in terms of your car and travel and staying in hotels, we're just not incurring. So I guess maybe that's where people are saving some of their money. Yeah.
So I heard something on the news maybe it was today, that the unemployed hospitality industry workers would be the given first dibs on jobs to do COVID tracing.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's a shift. Now, if somebody in the entertainment industry says, oh, I can't find work, I'm going to go, whack, there's work. There's always work. There's work there for people that want to work.
Yeah.
Even during COVID.
I do feel a little bit bad. Like, I was thinking about industries today that, because I was on this webcast for Canadian Marketing Association, and I thought to myself, man, like, if you're a musician, and I'm not talking kind of Nelly or, you know, somebody at the top of their game that can live off their
investments,
their investments and whatever residuals
their
they're
wealth.
getting. If you're just like playing bars night to night, living kind of week to week, I don't know when your profession comes back, right? Or if you're in the symphony, or if you're in the, like, there's a ton of musicians. Be curious to know the woman Tyra that played to us earlier.
What side gigs for all of them. It's how they present themselves to different audiences. Get real.
I like the mic. You got to use that microphone more.
Yeah.
That was like, that
Yes.
almost scared me.
This is my Yeti.
I know, it's good.
But yeah, I mean, artists have, it's always been a side gig. I'm not trying to be a hard ass. Again, it's just reality.
Yeah.
You know, they're teachers, or they're you know, or they're executives, and their art is their hobby. And if they get money doing bar gigs, they get money doing bar gigs. I'm not saying this is the ultimate for Canadian arts and culture, but yeah.
No, it's definitely a
not
point of
as
view.
awful as it sounds like.
I do have a point of view that a lot of us will end up getting side hustles, right? Like we'll just, whether it's because you have to or because that becomes the culture, I think all of us will have something on the side.
It's more acceptable now to say you know you have more than one thing going for you.
Agreed. Whereas before it used to be, well, why are you spending all this time in a coffee shop? Right?
Yeah, you were boxed in. You're only this, and if you say something else, then you know you're undermining yourself.
I love how you keep bringing the Yeti up to your. This is a professional interview that's being conducted here. So, any last things before we go back, guys? I've enjoyed our conversation together. I've been going since 3 o'clock this morning today, so you guys are good. You can probably hear it in my voice, but you're like a good kind of injection of enthusiasm.
We're a good foil.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you for the input.
See you.
The only
clearness committee, and I've been doing it for probably 20 years or 15 years or so. I did a retreat at Sundance over 9/11, and I learned the practice there. But it's Quaker. It's a Quaker tradition.
Okay. Also, we're getting people back. Is this about everybody?
I think so.
I'm just sort of eyeballing it. Looks pretty close. So I don't know about the rest of you. I had a great time. I enjoyed the new folks and some of the people I've known for forever. Ended up in my room, which was awesome too.
And also, Dave, do you want to do the poll first or the debrief first? Because I can do either.
Let's do the poll first, if you don't mind, because otherwise we'll run out of time for sure.
There's 2 questions, and everybody has to answer first, and then we'll have lots of time to. Can everybody see it? Okay. And since we were responsible for our own agendas, yeah. I'm going to close it in 30, 29, 28. You can only vote once, I think, on this one. 27, 26. Somebody should take a picture, Rob. 25. Boom.
Are you going to count the whole way?
Yeah, I'm going to keep counting so nobody can concentrate. And by the way, since we were responsible for our own groups, if we didn't do well, shame on ourselves. Okay, I'm gonna share.
One of the groups saying, "Yeah, you groups, you did that."
Okay, I'm sharing the results, and we're gonna do the second poll, and then it's back to you, Dave.
Okay, great.
Have the recording.
Okay, you're good. You got that one? Got the picture? Okay.
Yep.
And now here comes the second poll. Hold on. Poll. And this one, I think you can hopefully vote for more than one.
Oh,
Sean,
good.
aren't you going to count?
I can't do the poll actually.
Oh, okay.
Sean and I are hosts,
Met new people, learned a lot, helped me gain perspective, opened up my thinking, helped me make sense of new realities, inspiring, provocative, unlocked creativity, brought up new issues.
Allowed me to meet Greg Sittel again. Hey, Greg.
That's a write-in. That's a write-in.
We'll have to add it to the poll next time.
Okay, 10 seconds. I'll close it. I'm not going to count, Sean. You know, that was in response to a snarky comment.
You have great powers of sense making. I'm very confident in you.
Yeah. This is a hilarious one. Okay. Okay. 5 seconds. Vote. You can vote twice in the U.S., by the way. I don't know if everyone knows that.
Only email in the second one.
There's a hanging Chad there. Sorry.
Did you get the picture? Can you see it?
Got the picture.
Okay. Dave, back to you. I'm going to stop sharing the poll. Dave, you're good?
Great. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. So I was hoping we'd have time to whip through brief summaries of what happened in the different rooms. I don't know if we'll have time to do that, but I'm compelled to do it from my group really quickly. And maybe you guys can think about, summarizing what happened in your room. We had a wide variety of discussions you might imagine. Someone commented that 6 months out from now is a singularity. It's sort of impossible to see beyond that cliff, which I thought was sort of an interesting perspective. There was still a certain amount of hope that basically because people are forced to introspect, they're knocked out of the normal routines, they then have an opportunity to see, quote, the ass backwardness that the world was in. And that will allow them to leave their current state of beingness and enter a new one, which I thought was really interesting. Too many other topics to hit, but one that I'll hit just quickly. Everyone is, thrilled and bemoaning the virtues and drawbacks of Zoom. We talked about dimensionality reduction, right? Zoom is 2D, where in-person is 3D. But of course, in-person is a lot more than 3D when you actually start thinking about it beyond just spatial dimensions. So there was some discussion about what are the other dimensions of in-person that do not translate to Zoom? And is it worth thinking about ways we can try and bridge that? So again, so many other things to talk about, but I'll stop there to try and set a good example. Anybody else want to chime in for their rooms?
I can be really fast. Michelle nominated me. So, and I was in a group with Veronica, who left us somehow, and Dan, who seemed to have dropped off and is not here. But basically, I think I said I thought everything was crap, and Michelle and Dan, I think Veronica argued that it was somewhat less crap than
Crap with me too.
And on the scale of,
Positive Canadian and Californian perspective.
And I'm from Philly, and I just want to go down the corner and give somebody a beating.
well, there's a lot of that going on these days, actually. So now is your time.
By the way, Craig, I was pulled to another room.
A better room.
You're in high demand. You're in high demand. Nobody wanted me in my room, so Michelle and Dan got stuck with me.
So anyone else want to chime in on their rooms? Can I nominate you, Doyle?
Where's Doyle?
You're muted.
Gonna unmute. I'm sorry. There you go.
Well, it's sending me to a new meeting room. Yeah, look, we had a good time. I had Kim, Andrea, Jill, and Veronica, and I don't know if everybody used the same format, but we used the word feeling dark like future, and we went through it and had some amazing discussions in terms of just sort of understanding what it is that we need to do right now. So identifying a word, identifying a feeling, identifying a dark and light, and then a future as well. So it was quite, yeah, it was quite interactive and engaging, and loved it. So, and no beatings took place. So, Greg.
And we also used a Quaker practice called the Clearness Committee.
There we go. Yeah, yeah.
So is there a lesson we should all take from what you guys unearthed?
Well, it had the format that said there still is a structure, which kind of, so that we weren't sort of just dealing with randomness and that sort of thing. So I think it was really good to have that, just to kind of facilitate and grease the wheels of the process.
Cool, thank you. 2 minutes left. That's enough for one more room. Any volunteers?
Come on, Susan, jump in, Susan.
I nominate Susan for our breakout room.
Oh. Well, I wasn't really taking notes, but I did notice, I felt there was darkness in our group. And I felt a little bit sad for some people. And then I tried to pull it up by saying, instead of being negative or positive, look at Scottish common sense and what's real. And then I talked about being Canadian, and I think that's where I get my Scottish common sense from. And then we talked about how we think, we're into a new season, and I think we all felt that we're buckling down and getting ready for another long haul of this. and that we may need to come up with some new strategies and new ways of entertaining ourselves, keeping ourselves motivated. And then we started talking about arts and culture, and I'm taking a poetry course, and Jennifer did some online theatrical, what was it, Jennifer? Some way to present yourself, and I coach through art theater?
Theatrical methods to do customer experience and user experience and service design.
So it was theater, and it was, again, it was online. So there's a lot of stuff that can be done online that we may not have done before. Is that enough of a snapshot, folks?
I think that's great. Thank you for sharing it. So we're hitting the top of the hour. This is the official end of our very informal and casual sense-making salon. We did book the room for an extra half an hour if people want to just hang out and talk collectively. But that wraps it sort of formally for the breakout sessions. So just now that we're kind of just on the other side of that line, thanks everybody. I feel like we threw a party and a bunch of people showed up and it was really great. So thank you so much for that. So Andrea is engaging in one of the Grey Swan Guild rituals, which is the silly hat moment.
Oh, no.
Pardon me, just hat, not silly.
Oh, not
just
silly.
hat.
Oh, forgive me. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to insult you.
No, this is not a silly hat. This is elegant. Yeah, we just
Nothing
made the
silly,
record reflect.
Nothing silly about it, Dave.
Yes.
Evidently not. So,
I even brought you a sunset, Dave.
you did. Look at that. Thank you.
I don't know why I do this every week.
Well, I've got one I know Jeff will recognize.
John, where was my memo?
Yes.
I didn't
Yeah,
know how to
I'm
bring
hatless.
It's all right, Jeff.
All right. Kim, you'll understand in time.
Got it. I'll come prepared next time.
It's late and sweet.
Oh, okay. That's got Spock ears, Sean. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it's just not a shellacked kind of head. Like this is the purpose here, Doral.
Oh, cool. Who's your supplier? I need one.
The Federation.
The Federation.
Nice one.
But there were some really beautiful
Mayana sends
imagery.
regards. She's got a different class.
Wait, here we go.
Oh, nice. Well done.
Nice, I like that,
Chili
Kim.
poppers.
Yeah.
It's kind of Christmas, but something different, I think. I don't know.
There you go.
That's really great.
back.
Is it like a bee? It's great. It's
I don't know.
festive.
My daughter bought them for my dog. So
I like the fact you didn't know that this was going to be a thing and you were still prepared, Kim. Like that's pretty
Always
impressive.
I like the fact that it's so perfect that it looks like one of those fake Zoom add-ons. You know what I'm talking about?
Snapchat thing.
Yeah. It's like life imitating art, imitating life, or something. Yeah.
It's a skeuomorph.
Yes, exactly.
I like that the wires holding it up don't show up on the camera. They're just flying in close formation.
Like when Melania Trump wore her,
perfectly matched her paint to the wires.
When Melania Trump wore her green screen dress and like, oh my God, that was just like asking for it. Yeah, seriously.
Well, just so you know, the Queen does that quite often too, right? Or the Queen of England.
So do you think it's intentional? I mean, she's got loads of advisors, I'm sure. Which doesn't mean that people with advisors don't do stupid things. We have evidence that happens as well, of course. But what do you think? Do you think she knew? I mean, it's a very interesting move if it was done intentionally.
You mean
I don't think she thought it through. I don't think she knew.
I think she's got a reality show coming out and she was just filming the backdrop.
And that jacket that she wore that says, "I don't care." I mean, come on, lady. She didn't know. She thought it meant, she was trying to tell the media that she didn't care what they thought. That's what she thought that the message was portraying. And it came across otherwise.
So I think we're right on the edge of the slippery slope, guys.
Melania? I mean, that
the Queen to Melania. Which Queen are we talking
about? Oh, Melania.
So guys, we're right on the slippery slope of drifting into the political domain. So let's pull back a little if we can.
All right, so I got a different topic. Susan, you talked about darkness in your breakout room, but all I could see was the rose-colored glasses.
Aw, thank you.
Are they?
may I
Are these
ask a
functional or
question?
this is
They
this
are.
pure
I actually
fashion
need
show?
them. They're the progressive lens with the different color. But you know, when you're on a Zoom call and you've only got so many dimensions to deal with, you've got to do something a little bit different. So I'm working with what I got.
Well, I did wash my hair.
Setting the high bar.
Yeah.
And Veronica, you have a question?
Yeah, I think I have a silly question because this is first time I joined this meeting, and I guess it's called Sensemaking, and I wonder, do we have to make sense?
You don't.
So wait, I don't know if you mean that in the active or passive verb, right? So the passive sense would be, I speak and I don't make any sense. No one knows what the hell I'm talking about, right? So
Yes.
that may be the case, but that's one interpretation. The other one is, as human beings, we try to make sense of what's going on around us. And it is that second meaning that we are, or at least I think many of us are aspiring to try and understand how to even think about what the hell is going on in this tumultuous time and where it's going to lead us.
I'll give you an example. Oh, I'm sorry, Veronica, go ahead.
Sorry. I think a lot of times in order to make sense, we have to make no sense.
Or make nonsense.
Right.
All who wander are not lost.
Yeah.
Deep roots are not hurt by the frost.
Tolkien or Shakespeare?
Tolkien.
And
I was going to say that
Okay.
for me, what I picked up on, there were like these phrases that just kind of wafted through the room. And we had Chatham House rules, so I'm not going to say who said what, but this thought of van life, van life, and like, just sort of that was interesting. And also the land of Greta, this thought of, I'm sitting here in California with like these fires blazing and red skies out. It's crazy. And so someone who, I won't say who, but who lives in the land of Greta, which is
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Literally lives in Sweden, but like that is a mindset as well. And so for me, there were just images that I really needed that were quite provocative in terms of, Veronica, what you were saying. It helps me weave different threads into my own tapestry, whatever. Sorry about that.
Did you say van, V-A-N, as in people who live in vans?
As in, like, a lot of people I know are living in vans now, like not in a bad way, like Airstreams and, getting in a van and going somewhere and having kind of that bubble extension. Yeah, a lot of people I know are taking off from San Francisco to find some air.
Where are they going?
Well, unfortunately, some of them are going to like Montana, where it's also fires. It's, but going east, just like getting in the van and going east.
I went on a 3,400 kilometer road trip in August, and that was to do that, to get out and roll and feel free.
What is a kilometer, Rob? What is that? A kilometer?
3,400 is about 1,800 miles.
0.62. 1 kilometer is 0.6.
Yeah, I was joking, but thank you. I appreciate it.
So Rob, did it work for you?
Furlongs is that?
Did it work?
Did it work? Did it make you feel free? Was it? Would you advise others to follow a similar path?
Well, I ended up where I started, with a classic alchemist way. I started at point A and I ended up at point A. It was the road to somewhere that ended up back at home. But I did cover different cultures and different practices, experiencing the same thing in different ways. And then at home, I'm an insider. As far as ways I got, I was as outsider as I can be. When I was at the edge of Quebec in a small town and I had expired Ontario plates, I was concerned. But I racked up my franglais and got out of Dodge safely. But it was remarkable how different from town to town and place to place, from city to country, how different it was. And then it was very, usually when I go out like that, and I love to travel like this, is you end up engaging. And I go to places where there were travelers, and the travelers did not engage this time. The locals, you had to move at a very slow pace with your hands on the wheel to engage. And I met an ex-prisoner biker who was proud to tell me the story of all his tattoos. I met a young lad who runs a casino on a Caribbean island and has made a fortune. I met the lead beer rep for Quebec City and Montreal, who sold the most beer in his career. I met grandmothers and kids. The kids are as scared as the parents, and no one's working that hard. It's a long trip. It was a good journey alongside other journeys.
You know, Smuljana was in our room, and she mentioned, she said, it was beautifully put, I think she said, I get frustrated when I hear people talk about the pandemic, because it's not the pandemic. Different people, different cultures, different places experience very different things. So I thought that's kind of interesting. I mean, it's both universalizing in that we all do share a certain common global event, but also splintering. So anyhow, I thought that was just a very interesting observation.
It's not a hoax, Dave?
Well, for some people it is, right? I mean, for some people, they're in that camp, and that's okay, we can debate it, but their experience of it, perceiving it as a hoax, is different from mine.
I think an interesting aspect of it as well is, I think there's a lot of interesting parallels between 2020 and 1920, the pandemic being only one of them. But one of the interesting things is the zeitgeist in 1920 was one of, logical positivism is where things were going. And, Wittgenstein and whereof one cannot speak, thereof one must be silent. And things ended up going a very, very different way. It's so much so that Wittgenstein himself sort of, definitely refuted everything he wrote at that time. And because things went a different way, we got digital computers and a whole different world, but we had to give up this illusion that logic wasn't broken. And I think that's I think there's an interesting parallel in that. I think we're finding that the world works in a very, very fundamentally different way than we thought it did.
I got to jump in. So I got to ask, do we have to give up our belief in logical positivism again? Or is it something else that we need to give up? And
Has that already happened?
It's all narrative now.
Has it already happened?
Well, I do think, I do think there's some, like if you look at shareholder value, and I think there's some very, very fundamental things about metrics, about reductionism, that we're about optimization, Six Sigma type of approaches. I think there's a lot of parallels there. And look, if you were J.P. Morgan in 1920, right? You're very, very technologically forward. You were one of the early adopters of one of the first electrical generators was at your house. You would have no idea what was coming, not the first clue. Electricity and internal combustion had been around for 40 years. Nobody knew that they were going to finally gain traction in the 2020s. And then they were going to change everything, and nobody looked at an automobile and said, wow, that's going to transform retail, and we're going to have shopping malls and department stores and supermarkets.
Well, so what did you think, Greg, of Eric Ries's, the long-term stock exchange open today? I thought that was potentially, refreshing. What was your thought on that?
I haven't really looked into the whole, to be honest, I didn't even know it was going on until Bob Sutton tweeted something about it.
Yeah. It's been in the works for so long and it seemed ridiculous at first, but now, nothing seems ridiculous to me. I'm just thinking of new ways of looking at capitalism and shareholder value and, from Business Roundtable to sort of, Mark Benioff and people paying lip service, but that was an interesting move. I thought it was, years in the making, but happy that it happened during the pandemic.
Yeah, it's interesting. No, I think it's quite clear that capitalism can't be about one form of capital and only one form of capital, and saying, okay, we're going to, I mean, I think the last 50 years has been in some sense, this idea to find that one number we can optimize to, whether it's, you know, net profit or GDP or whatever it is. The whole idea is you manage what you measure. And I think we're finding out that we weren't measuring a whole lot of stuff that actually mattered. And I think there is that realization that fundamentally we've been doing things in a very, very, and I think logical positivism is that interesting parallel, because people really believed it. But, you know, Frege and Cantor, they had sort of punched holes in logic. I mean, nobody believed it. I mean, logic was broken, and that'd been, looking back, that was pretty obvious by like 1890. But they kept on trying. No, that can't be true. There's got to be a way to fix it. I mean, that's why Russell and what's his name?
Whitehead. Yeah.
I mean, there must be some way to fix it. And finally, David Hilbert said, "Okay, here's how we got to answer these three questions, and they're all going to be and it'll all be fixed." And then, you know, what's his name?
Gödel came in. Yeah.
Goethe, yeah, Gödel.
Gödel.
Yeah, he came in and said, well, actually, I answered the first two, and they didn't go the way everybody thought they should go. And then Turing came with the third one, which again, you know, not every number is computable, but to figure that out, he had to create a universal computer, which gave us, I mean, the whole idea that digital computing is based on the premise that logic is broken. It's just, who could?
It's delicious. It's delicious.
Yeah, there's no end to the irony. So I have a question for Veronica. I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you mind sharing the Chinese word that you shared with our group? And because that was a really interesting expression. I know I'm like completely ruining the Chatham House rules here, but would you mind?
No, not at all. I think Jen is going to laugh. It's ya. Ya, you know, means several things. It's surprise, it's desperation, it's whatever, however the way you
like holy shit in English.
Oh, it's one of those maybe. But just when you have no words to describe what's happening or how you feel, you say, "Hey, yeah," you know.
My wife is Chinese, and I've heard that. But
I said it in a feminine way, but of course, this phrase is used mostly by women, I would say, yeah.
I thought, Veronica, I don't know what you thought. Veronica came a little late into our group and had to kind of pick up. So did you have an observation about the tone, because it was your first time as well, of what was going on?
I really enjoy this. I find it's very relaxed, and people feel free to express their opinions. And I think that's very healthy. It's very welcoming. And I jumped right in, and I find this, I'm glad I you know, said yes, and spending, you know, the evening with so many interesting people here. I'm so glad I did. And thank you, Jen, for inviting me to this group.
You're welcome.
So, if you invite me again, I probably will join again. I like lighthearted but intelligent conversations. You know, people from different backgrounds, and like Greg,
I'm
so
happy that we
interesting
converted
to
you to be a member.
Yeah.
Because Rob here is my buddy, who spent like 3 hours with me. You know, I kept on saying Rob is my buddy here. At the very beginning, he spent like 3 hours on the phone with me.
Nice.
You're lucky, Jennifer. My wife won't spend 3 hours with me.
I was going to say, Veronica, you said
stories you tell, Dave.
Can I say 1, 2, 3? We all say yeah together.
Yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Veronica, you said smart, but you forgot a good looking group too. So
Left
smart
that
and
off,
good.
Oh,
yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
very, yes.
Jeff,
I
did you
hope
want to chime
someday
in?
we will meet in person.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I didn't have too much particular. I was struck by the different paths people were thinking about for the next 6 months and on beyond the singularity. The thread running through our room, I thought a little bit had to do with personal reactions to complex realities that we just weren't sure how to process. So that was it.
So you mean there's nothing fundamental about the inability to look beyond it. It's just that the thing is complicated and we don't know how to think about it, so that's why we're stuck.
Yeah.
It's not fundamental in any way.
Yeah. I've been surprised, just as an aside, the number of scenario planning companies and scenario planning exercises that are making their way around the interwebs these days is huge. I think the most interesting one I saw was a guy, Daniel Erasmus, who said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to remember, he said the first thing has been the biological level, and the one after that is the economic level, and then there's the social level, and then there's a geopolitical level, that everything is going to be reset, for those domains. I thought that was kind of a fun way to think about it.
Just on this previous comment though, about people being uncomfortable not knowing what's coming, I gave a talk to a group of Japanese executives over Zoom about sort of some thoughts on different ways to think about how COVID is going to change the world. And I got a bunch of feedback. And one of the few negative comments I got back was, "I'm very uncomfortable not knowing what's going to happen."
It is interesting that everybody's first instinct is to reframe, which is probably the most futile thing you can possibly do. I mean, we don't know. I mean, back to my 1920 parallel, it is the second and third order effects that are going to be the most important. Nobody looked at an IBM mainframe and said, this is going to put journalists out of business. It's always the ecosystems, not the invention, that drive transformation and change.
Yeah, and the worst thing for me, I'm very cynical about scenario planning, having done it for years with Royal Dutch Shell, and and also that we have a colleague from where is he from? Schroeder, somebody knows, but he wrote a whole book, Iceland, where he took like scenarios for the year 20 something and beyond. He wrote it. The book came out like in December. None of them described anything having to do with this, and to which Sean and I wrote an article about it, going, and that's just fine. Like, prediction is not really, it's kind of a fool's game. And I think scenario planning, a lot of people start with, let's predict, like game theory. And so they end up, buying bayonets for the nuclear war, because that's what worked last time, and they can't help themselves, and they have all this, anchoring bias, and they just go right into the next one with the old models. And I have never seen it. I mean, first of all, like, I hope Nate Silver's wrong, because he just said that Donald Trump is going to win the election yesterday. And it made me nervous. So but I have never seen a scenario plan where, I don't care if it's multivariate analysis of bazillions of, Cray computers all helping each other. It's like, that is not, to me, that's just time wasted, that's my personal opinion.
And it's that illusion of
control.
That illusion of control that fucks you, because you say, okay, we've got it all worked out. I would
but
also
it sells. That illusion sells.
Yeah.
That's right.
That illusion sells.
So
I would like to point out that Andrea is my hometown girl, and she's every bit as cynical as I am. She just puts a much prettier face on it.
And a prettier hat.
Yeah, and I don't live there anymore. I left Philly when I was like 16. So, but I still in my blood. It's still in my blood. I can still do the accent when I need to lose 10 points for my IQ. Yeah, totally. It's like, oh my God, like, can you believe it? I mean, we just had breakfast. Like, what, are we going there again? Going really? Like,
so
totally.
Can I throw out a book
What's
reference?
wooder than wood?
Wooder than wood.
Wooder than wood.
How Philadelphia people say.
Dave, back to you. Get rid of this Philadelphia.
That's fine.
Please.
No, I just want to throw out a book
Well,
reference.
I was gonna say, back to the scenario, Dave, like, that's quite interesting, because I think we feel that security, that that says if we know what's happening, right? But as Andrea pointed out, Hurter wrote that book back in December and nothing came true. So I think we're always trying to do that. It's just that this seems a little bit maybe more cataclysmic, but doesn't change the fact that we're not going to have those answers. We're not going to be able to actually define it, but yet we're still kind of seeking that.
That's a good point, Doyle, actually.
Maybe we seek it even more because it's so apocalyptic. I'm sorry, Alex.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Right. Well, I wonder if, we are so entrenched and enmeshed in the patriarchy, like in the patriarchal way of thinking for thousands of years, that we just take that for granted. We're like fish swimming in water. They don't know they're swimming in water. We don't know we're swimming in the patriarchy. And one of the values of the patriarchy is to have certainty, to like try to have, men like to come up with solutions, fix things, have certainty. And maybe that's why logical positivism has been such a driving force for centuries or millennia. It's because men were in charge and we have to have solutions. And to the detriment of more like female qualities of the heart, and maybe less rational and more caring and more loving. And so we look for the wise old man instead of the great mother. And the earth, the great mother, is now suffering, burning up, because we're too rational trying to find these solutions. And we
I just want to be clear. Are you anti-solution, Alex? I just want to be clear about this.
Well, but how do we arrive at these solutions? And maybe we've been stuck in these Newtonian and Einsteinian physics for too long, and the future is quantum with much more uncertainty, quantum computing, much faster computing, but it's all based on uncertainty.
I like that. And those that can thrive in uncertainty and be okay with it and not get too stressed out and just deal with what's real will be the catalyst, will be the anchor.
You seem very confident when you say that, Susan, almost certain.
Well, actually, I'm not certain about anything. I've said that one other time, but I think a lot.
Well, Susan, you're on the right track. He's just testing your chops. He's just testing your chops. You're on the right track.
Thank you.
You're certain about your uncertainty in a confident way.
I thought you were going to say those who can deal with uncertainty will inherit the earth, which is also sort of more than ironic in its own way.
To be honest, I was just thinking that as heterosexual as I am, I wanted to sleep with Alex while he was speaking. All this Latin.
No, Alex,
we need to talk about love.
This is good. You guys would look good together. You got the same again.
I think the sexual harassment line is I'm beginning to feel uncomfortable.
No, in the first group, I mentioned, preparing for the 2000. So many companies, so many resources and time was spent. In the end, when 2000 arrived, there was no big deal. But of course,
Veronica, though, I was there. I was one of the guys spending budget. And I know the money was, if we didn't do what we did, it would have broken. The systems would have stopped. We actually had to do that project. And
so
people,
that's not a good comparison for me to mention that, right?
It's what's remembered, right? In the big body of the world, nothing happened. And well, I got paid, I know that. And I know if we didn't do our work, the systems really would have failed.
Veronica, maybe it is an appropriate comparison because this time around, we didn't do the work.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah, but I think the two scenarios are totally different. I think 2000 is predicted. It was coming, and we knew, it would have a big impact on the calculation side. I think this one is just dawned on us. Found in China first, and yesterday the news was saying Trump was having a conversation on February the 7th with what's his name. And after the conversation, he didn't do anything, right? He just, so I think just now we talked about scenario planning. I remember in my corporate years, we brought big, gurus in the industry to talk about it. It made a lot of sense. But in the end, you feel, I think people in this room right now are saying what it really means. I think that triggered me to think, it inspires me to think, maybe the best planning is to have a good mindset and a good attitude. and do something like what we are doing, but keep a good open mind. You know, when the pandemic first hit us in Toronto, I live in Toronto. The Ontario Real Estate Board, which is the authority, predicted that this pandemic is going to keep our housing market drop at 17%, specifically 17%. But now, in fact, the market has gone up more than 20%. So you just laugh, right? You just say, hey, where did you get that number? I can't trust you anymore. I think we just have to keep open mind and positive, not positive, but real, build our attitude. Just say, hey, this is happening to us because, you know, Bill Gates predicted, and probably it's high time. The last pandemic was 100 years ago. And so it happened. What lessons we can learn? You know, what can we get out of this? And how we can better enjoy life when this whole hoopla stops. And how we are going to teach our children, how we are going to treasure our environments, and how we are not going to take everything for granted anymore.
So I'm just giving the warning to Dave as our moderator that we are in the 2-minute warning.
So I think actually we should take that sort of optimistic note, hopeful note, and wrap there. We're at 6:31. We're supposed to finish at 6:30. I know. Unfortunately, I have school stuff to go to. Jeff, did you want to say something? You're just waving goodbye. So thanks to everybody for showing up. I'm actually very glad everyone was here. I hope to see you at the next one and maybe other Grey Swan events. And live long and prosper.
Thanks, bye, everybody.
Bye, all.
Take care, everyone. Bye. See you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you,
Veronica.